Alright guys, so today we're going to be doing a subwoofer install on a 2021 RAV4 XLE model. This is the gas model. Here's the head unit, and you'll see this cover that's right here. And so I'm going to move that back so hopefully you guys can get a better view. And we're just going to remove that. You can probably use a screwdriver to go in here. I wouldn't recommend it. If you're going to be working on your car a lot, I would definitely recommend investing in the correct set of tools. In this case, we're just using a trim panel removal tool. This came as part of a set. You can buy these individually. They're fairly inexpensive, maybe $5 or $10 for a couple of the different removal tools, or you can get a full set for like $30. You can get these from Amazon or Walmart, probably any stereo, any car audio place, eBay. They're pretty much easily obtainable. So we're just going to go ahead and push down in here, and we're just going to pry this piece up. Hopefully my hands aren't getting in the way, but that definitely takes a little bit of doing. All right, now that that's popped up, we're just gonna work our fingers along. Actually, we're still gonna use this tool. And we're just gonna work our way across till we get that up. It takes a little bit of doing. All right. Hopefully you guys heard that pop up. Move over to the other side here. Sorry, I'm kind of doing this by feel. So I'm trying to get as much of it on the camera as I can. All right, so that cover is just going to pop up, and hopefully you guys can see that. I'm going to move the camera so I can hopefully make sure I'm getting this in view, and you can see all the red parts are just the clips on that back panel. All right, so now that that piece is up, we can take a look inside, and you can see there's two bolts here. And there's going to be those same two bolts on that side. And those are just going to be 10mm bolts. All right, so here we have here we have a socket, 10mm. You can see that fits right on. I am using an extension. I did bring a longer extension in case. This is what is this? This looks like a 3-inch extension. You don't want to go too long, of course, because you don't want to hit the windshield. But we're pretty much just going to remove those bolts. And so I don't think anybody needs to see the bolt removal. As soon as those are out, I'll restart the video. Maybe I could just leave it up. Of course, as you're pulling these out, you probably want to be careful not to drop the bolts. So you can use a magnetic tool if you have really big fingers. Or you can just reach down in there and grab them, pull them out. Set those off to the side. Obviously, you don't want to lose those. All right, so now with all the bolts out, we are ready to remove the head unit. And so this is just going to pull right out. Obviously, be careful. You don't want to break anything. think there's still a clip in here. Let's feels like still has a clip. Oh, sorry about that. I just got this sitting up on a tripod. So anyway, so yeah, so you just pull this out. It does have a couple of small clips. See if I can get you can see this red right here. That is a clip. There'll be one on each side. Looks like another small one right there. So you just pull that straight out and the whole head unit will remove. So what I'm doing, what we're going to do next is once this is pulled out, is we're just going to attach for the speaker leads to go to the subwoofer or an amp if that's what you were going to do. So I'm going to stop the video and I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to actually attach the speaker leads. Alright guys, so I ordered this harness from Taco Tunes, and this is the, you can see right here, it's the Toyota harness for the add a sub. And this is basically just going to splice in, I shouldn't say splice, I should say connect in between the head unit and the factory wiring harness. And that way there's no cutting, no splicing of wires. They give you more than enough speaker lead. I believe it's something like 16 feet. I will leave a link to this company, to their website. I highly recommend them. They're very, very helpful to the all the questions that I had about, you know, making sure that I was getting the right harness and, you know, just general questions about things. Super nice guys, very easy to deal with. Like I said, I'll leave a link to this. And, you know, that way if you're going to add an amplifier or a subwoofer, you know, instead of having to cut things up, you know, everything's pretty much just plug and play. So I'm going to remount the camera and then we'll pick things back up. Alright guys, hopefully this tripod's going to stay where I need it to. Alright, so we're just going to pull this out. And as you guys can see, now you have all the wiring right here. So now we just need to find the right one for the speakers. So here's the, again, this is the Taco Tunes wiring harness. I know I kind of pushing their name and everything, but like I said, you know, I'm not sponsored by them or anything. Just usually when I find a company that really stands behind their product and offers a lot of support for it, I like to try and you know, make sure that they get the credit that's due to them. All right, guys. So there's a tab on this connector right here, and it's this first black one. So we're just going to push that tab down, and we're just going to pull that out. It's kind of difficult to do. It actually pulls out pretty easy. All right. All right, so again, that's going to be this one. It's the first connector. You can obviously tell the wires are a little bit thicker for the speakers. Then we're just going to connect this right here. This one end. That'll just clip in. The other end's just going to go back into where it was. Make sure that's actually clipped in there. All right, so that's all there is to that. And then we just have these two leads, and we're gonna fish those through down. And let me move the tripod so we get a different angle, and I can show you how to route these wires. So this is another wiring harness from Taco Tunes. It is in fact a remote turn on harness. So the red apparently is the remote turn on, and the yellow is going to be constant power if that's needed for anything. So I had already had everything wired up, and what I was finding out was the subwoofer was actually cutting off at higher volumes. I'm using a Kicker PT250 powered sub, and it's not that it actually was overdriving it, that it couldn't keep up. Once I contacted Kicker and explained everything, they said that there are some head units that when you're using that DC offset, that will actually, at higher volumes on some head units, that DC offset will actually go away. And it turns out that that's appears to be what was happening with my sub. So there's probably a cheaper way to do it instead of buying the harness. The harness was like $35, $40. And you can probably tap into the fuse block somewhere by adding add a fuse and just running a remote wire. But I kind of wanted to stay and make sure that I wasn't going to have any issues. Also, Taco Tunes has been really good in helping out and with all the services that they provide, all the products that they provide. So I did want to support that company. And so I purchased, again, the remote turn on. And it's pretty easy to do. Not when you drop your tools. All right. So here's the back of the head unit. And what we're going to undo is this connector right here. All we're going to do is push down on the tab that's in the middle, basically right where you see the indent. Let's see if I can do that. So right there, we're just going to push that down and then pull that connector out. Let me set the tripod up and we'll go ahead and do it. All right, guys, so all you're going to do is push this tab right here in the middle. And I'm just going to use this just to push it out. It's actually really easy to do. I know it's kind of hard to see, but once you have that tab pushed in, you can see hopefully that's already starting to pop out. I'm just using this just to push it away. And there you go. So very easy to do, just like that. And then with the Taco Tunes connector, that's just going to insert into this side and just plug in. Might help if I put it the right orientation. You can hear that. And this side's just going to plug back in right where the factory connector was. Then we're just going to run these leads down through here, and I'll just give you a quick glimpse of that. All right, guys, so we're going to open up the glove box, and we're going to go ahead and remove the glove box. It's actually really easy to do. So these right here, you're just going to see if I can get a better view of this. All right, guys, sorry about all the wind. We're just going to push these in. You'll see it's got a little split. We're just going to pull that out. You can do the same thing on the other side. All right, guys, so here it is from angle. And again, so we're just going to push in on those sides to release it. And then you just pull this right off. And it just pops right out. You can see it's just got these little clips right here. And those just attach to a... they just attach right there. So it's really easy to remove. All right, so here we are. We're underneath. And you can see right here. Hopefully you guys can see that. That's just a little cover that's right underneath the glove box. It's already been removed. And you'll see there's one, two, three, and looks like 4 little tabs that are under there. I'm going to try and put that. And all you're going to do is just, you're just going to release these tabs right here. And it's just a push forward. So push towards the front of the vehicle. So you just put your finger in. Pull that down, same thing, pull that down. Hopefully you guys can already see that coming down. And I think there was one more. There we go. All right. And then that piece just removes. And the only reason we're really removing this is just so I can stick a flashlight here, get some light up, and that way when I'm looking at the radio from the top, I know where the path is to feed the wire through. All right, so now with the glove box removed, I'm just going to use a flashlight. I'm going to shine it up through the glove box. That'll make it easier to see where our hole is. All right, and hopefully you guys can see that. I'm going to move the flashlight, turn it back up. Sorry, I can't really get in there and get a better view. Make sure that all your tabs are lined up. You'll actually be able to see it. Hopefully you guys can hear that click into place. And everything's good. Now we're just going to put the screws back in. Then we'll pop the cover back on. There we go. Make sure, again, you take your time, get everything lined up correctly. And we're just going to push that down. It snaps right in. All right. Double check your fit. Make sure everything's good. And all right, so now we'll move on to the next step. All right, guys, so hopefully you can see there's some metal brackets right there, and you can see I'm just running the wire over that, over this one as well. And then we're going to come through here, we're going to drop down, come into this panel. So what we're going to do is you have this right here, and it's pretty easy to undo. Just that right there. If yours is really tight, you can use a wrench or a socket. And I think hand tight's usually pretty good though. And so now this cover, I'll just kind of see if I can get that. And you can see now that the whole cover is pretty much moving. No, it's kind of dark. Sorry about that. There we go. Might be a little bit better. So that's all we want to do. We don't really need to take the whole panel off. We're just going to drop the wire down behind it, and I'll show you guys that as soon as I route it. Here's where we remove that screw. And all I'm going to do is tuck the wire underneath this panel right here. And I'm just going to follow that panel all the way back. I'm not going to remove panels. These are plastic, and of course there's more than enough flex, as you can see, hopefully. And I can just tuck the wires up underneath that. I'm going to do that all the way back to the cargo area. Of course, if you were using like an under the seat sub or something, you wouldn't need to go back nearly as far. But again, I'm going all the way back to the cargo area. So let me finish running that, and then we'll start looking at how we're going to route the power wire. All right, guys, and there you can see the red and yellow, and also the speaker wires that we'd run previously. And so it's going to follow the same route. Okay, and you can see it drops down. Let's see if I can get a better picture of that. You can see the speaker wire leads. Sorry, right there. And then again here, and they're just going to drop down behind this panel. And we don't really have to remove this panel. Let me get a view. So here's the floor. Here's where the panel is. And there's actually enough flex in this. Let me get this out of the way. So hopefully you guys can see that. I can get my fingers underneath at least the tips. And if I can get the tips underneath, these wires are more than thin enough. You'll be able to just go ahead and just poke those underneath. All right. And so then you're just going to continue on to the back, and that pretty much completes it. All right, guys, so once I got here to the back seat, and I think what I'm going to end up probably doing at this point is I'm going to go ahead and remove the seat and run the wire underneath, and that way I can make it to the cargo area. So I'm briefly going to show you how to do this. I do have another video on the rear seat removal. What you're going to do, you're going to go to the corner of the seat. See if I can back up there so you guys see right where it is. And you're going to put your hand underneath about here. You'll feel a little indent, a little place where you can grip it. And you're just going to pull up on it. See if I can do this. Probably need two hands for this. At least I need two hands for this. All right, guys, so we're just going to reach down, get in this corner, and we're just going to pull up on it. Same thing, we're going to come in at this corner. You'll feel a little indent. And that's just going to pop right up. There's two little clips underneath. Hopefully you guys can see that. The seat, very lightweight. Thing probably weighs maybe 5 pounds. I'd be surprised if it weighs more. Alright, so I'm going to remove the seat. I'm going to put this inside so it doesn't get messed up. Now I'll continue on with our wire routing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come underneath this panel right here. Just going to feed the wire under it. One thing to make note of, apparently this piece broke. It's the second time I've actually had this break. I will list the part number up for you guys. Like it's just a plastic clip and they're fairly inexpensive. They're a couple dollars each at the dealer. So we're going to tuck this under. You can use your trim tool if you need to make sure it's well hidden. And underneath it, you don't want it just on the edge because, of course, you don't want to cut into it. All right, and then I'm just going to feed underneath. And, of course, seats fold down, and you pretty much have a clear path through. All right, guys, so to run the power, so this is passenger side where the glove box is. Okay, and sorry, I probably should have waited to pull this little bottom piece off. So this little cover actually goes down here, and it just has these clips. Okay, it's actually a little bit further under, and you can see, okay, so it's right there. Okay, and so we're just gonna release this clip right here, and there's another one here, another one here, and you just push those in, and this whole piece will just pop out, and then it just sits in with these little tabs right there, and that just goes in this hole right here. Sorry, let me try and get that to focus, and this hole right up here. All right, so now what we're going to look at is how we're going to put the wire through. So when you look, and I'll try and do it this way, you'll see that wire loom coming through. Let's see if I can get a better shot here. Let's see. All right, so it's right here, and I'll probably highlight that on the screen, but hopefully you guys can see that rubber grommet right in the middle, and you'll see that little hole off to the side. So there's going to be 2 holes there, and this is definitely not going to be the easiest thing to video. Let me see if maybe I can turn the light on and see if that'll help us. All right, so hopefully that's a little bit better, and I'm actually gonna put this in, so hopefully you guys can see right where we're going. Now that's not the clearest, but hopefully you guys can actually see that okay. All right, it's in that rubber grommet. Get a little bit more light on that. Let's see if I can shine that from below. All right, so you'll notice that there's a small hole, and you guys will probably see it better than what I'm able to show on video. So what I did was I took a skewer from a barbecue set, or you can pretty much use anything with a sharp edge. Go in that one hole, and you're just going to kind of push it through. Might take a little bit. Now we're going to go around to the front. And again, this is the passenger side. All right, so here's your looking at the engine. And you see that loom and you see that piece sticking out. And hopefully you guys can see that skewer is actually poking out. And so that's where we're going to feed the wire through. All right, and this way we're not having to cut anything. I mean, you can cut either one of those little, this little rubber piece right here. You can cut it from the outside. I didn't want to do that. I figured it would maybe be a little bit neater if I could poke a hole from the inside, and that's why I used a skewer. And what I'm going to do is use a little bit of heat shrink the power wire to that skewer, and then poke it through. And we'll do that right now. All right, guys, so here's the skewer with the heat shrink over it. You can see now it's hopefully that focuses. All right, so the tip's not quite sticking through, and I'm gonna put a little bit of dish soap on the heat shrink just to make it a little bit more slick. Hopefully it'll push through a little bit easier. Don't need a lot, just a drop or two. All right, and now we're just gonna spread that around a little bit. It's much more difficult to video with one hand and try to do something while you're looking through a lens. It's much more difficult than what I thought it would be. All right, so hopefully, all right, that's a pretty good shot right there. So hopefully you guys can see that that's that black grommet right there and that little hole. That's what we're aiming for right now. And let's see, you can find it again. All right, hopefully that's going through. Let's go take a look. Doesn't feel like it wants to poke through that. So push a little bit more. All right. May have to use a different kind of heat shrink. Nope, came through. All right. So hopefully you guys can see that right there. So we're just going to push that the rest of the way through. We'll feed that through a little bit more. Oh yeah, that went through nice and easy. All right. So hopefully you guys can see that right there. Then we'll go to the outside. And you guys can see that. So now we're just gonna see if I can get in closer. All right. So now I'm just gonna pull that through, and then we'll route it over to the battery. Of course, we're gonna put a fuse on that as well. But let me go ahead and pull that through and get the heat shrink off, and we'll continue on. All right, guys, so now we have the fuse holder, the fuse in place. And so you can see I've used a butt connector right here, and to connect the fuse holder to the power wire. And then you'll see a piece of blue heat shrink that I'm going to slide over top of the connector, just to make it a little bit neater. All right, so I'm going to finish attaching this, and then pretty much we're almost done. I'll show you, I'm going to route the power wire the same way that I routed the signal wire, and that's going to be, of course, inside on the passenger side, alongside the lower trim. Again, I'm not going to remove it. This wire is actually thin enough. I believe this is a 12 gauge wire, and this way, you know, I won't have to remove those pieces. I can just slide it underneath the edge. You know, I may use a trim tool just to poke it under to make sure it's well hidden. But yeah, otherwise, that's just about it. We'll head back into the vehicle here in a moment, and you know, we'll get the wiring routed. I'll show you where I'm going to mount my subwoofer. Again, it's going to be in the cargo area. And that's just about gonna wrap it up. All right guys, sorry about all the wind noise. Last thing I'm gonna do in the engine bay is this right here, and this is just a little cable holder. You can see it's adhesive, peel and stick. It's gonna go right up around here, and that way it'll hold my cable. You can see I've got some other ones from previous wiring. Then we'll head to the inside. All right guys, so now you can see the wire routing. At some point I'll probably clean that up a little bit more. I'll use some plastic wire loom just to cover it so it's not standing out so much, but for right now, yeah, that'll work, and the wire's not dangling, it's secure. And so now time to move on to the inside. All right guys, so I know there's a little bit of wind noise. Hopefully it's not too bad. So I actually routed the wires once they come out from here, and I'm going to route them right in between the seats. You'll see that right there. For the ground wire, I connected it to this bolt right here. So I'm on the back of the seat. I've already tested it to make sure that it was good ground, and you can see there's still, still a little bit of room here. All right, so I got them bundled up. I'm going to put a little bit of a tubing on this, just to kind of make it look a little bit neater. But yeah, this flap just lifts up. You can see there's some holes right there, and that's what these poke into, and they just press down or pull up. So it's pretty easy actually to get everything routed nice and neat. And that pretty much concludes it. Put the seat back on, and you don't necessarily have to tape the wires down. I figured I'd tape it just to keep them from moving around. And as long as I was in there anyway, it takes all of 30 seconds to put the tape. Might as well, even if nobody sees it, you'll know that it's there. And I prefer to have mine done kind of neat. So hopefully this video has helped you guys out. This is the subwoofer that I'll be hooking up. It's a Kicker PT 250. Nothing great. I just wanted a little bit more bass and something that was small. I didn't want to lose too much storage area, and I didn't want to go underneath the seats, just because that's where you have the heating vents. I don't know if you can see those right there. So anyway, yeah, I hope this has helped you guys out. Please give the video a like and consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll see you on the next video.